begun. The balloon wars have. Wanted to make sure I was actually live before I did the Yoda bit. Probably. Still missed it. But like, this is my take on the balloon situation. The first one, 110% is a Chinese something or other. It's probably a weather balloon that is also a Chinese military surveillance satellite. High altitude balloon satellite starts blur the line a little bit. That thing looked very satellite like. Sorry, my ear is fucked up right now. Okay. Oh, anyway, the other ones that we keep shooting down, there's now saying are UAPs, and they aren't releasing the footage of them. Like, I wonder if those are real. And maybe I'm crazy, but like Biden wants to look tough, just shooting down random shit in our airspace. Maybe either that, or they really did, up the air defense level, and now they're fucking taking some of these UAPs a little bit more seriously now that we're at war with China and Russia. It's possible. I don't know, but it concerns me that we're shooting those down at such a rapid rate. We don't even know what the fuck they are. And like my bet is that a country on earth is experimenting with the Nazi tech from World War II, and several countries on earth are experimenting with the I've spoken on here before, I don't remember on what episode, about the new Zeppelin technology. In Germany, they're developing new airships that are solar powered. These would be interesting. In warfare, they would be kind of like a bullet magnet, but if you made them robust enough and able to operate high enough and protected by their own fighter escort, those could become interesting. Like, I don't know how much weight they could lift, but the old Zeppelins back in the day could lift quite a bit. And what they're talking about doing with these is basically making them kind of like giant wings. So it's like they use the air to just get them light enough to where they float a little bit, and then they use the wing of the design of the body to give them lift when they're propelled forward. I don't know. And then with solar powered electric engines, they just never go down. It's the thoughts. And if they do go down, it's a nice, slow, gentle drop down to surface altitude. Although I bet a rocket would fix that. I don't know. These things that they're shooting down, they're supposed to be cigar shaped, from what we're being told. And if they're slow enough for them to shoot them, I wonder if they're not some sort of Russian airships. Although the Russians shot down fucking other UFOs in like the 50s. So maybe like the alien craft just aren't that hard to shoot down. But we've been pretending that they don't exist for a really long time. I would love to know what the fuck is going on. Because at this point, it's blatantly obvious that we're being lied to about everything. I don't know, a lot of shit. It's a scary world we live in. I'm gonna load another bowl, I think. I don't really have much else to say about the balloons. That just kind of is what it is. But I wanted to start this out with this. We'll go on to have other topics and shit. The Let's talk about the fucking pipeline. In my opinion, the United States did that pipeline shit. Russia thinks we did that pipeline shit. And yeah, we're going to war about that shit. You can't blow up Russia's fucking pipeline and get away with it. Maybe they pin it on Joe Biden and they send him to be in a Russian gulag. That would be interesting. I'd go for that. So like the things that they talk about when they say that they blew up the pipeline with seals that don't exist, that's a thing. Uh, they're the guys that shot Bin Laden. You've heard of them, SEAL Team 6. Those are SEALs that leave the SEAL detachment and go to work for Naval Special Warfare Development Group, which is attached to CIA. And they do secret squirrel shit everywhere. I think there's an army version of that too. I think that's what CAG is, Delta Force. Or maybe there's a thing above Delta Force. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. The thing that strikes me in all of this is that, yes, those people really exist. Yes, we have motive to blow up that pipeline, and no one else really does. Everyone else in the world would much rather that pipeline have not been blown up. Wonder who fucking did it. Anyway, sorry about the pause. I'm like loading a bowl and thinking, and yeah, whatever. The fucking pipeline getting blown up shit though. Between it and the balloon thing, we have the justifications for war. If they want to do a war, it's there. Like we're already doing tit for tat with China with the balloon shit. They're getting ready to do shit at Taiwan or Korea. If I were them, I'd be worried about both. Because as soon as China hits Taiwan, if I were the US, I would have the South Koreans march through North Korea like shit through a goose and attack China. And like you might be like, oh, how would they march through North Korea like that? We'd nuke it. We'd nuke them little bastards back to the Stone Age, and then we'd fucking roll our tanks through. North Korea knows this. This is why they're developing their own intercontinental ballistic missiles to hit the United States so that we can't do that. And now that they have that, I don't know. We have a lot of assets in that area that could take out North Korean missiles, which are probably shit and few in number. But do we really want to start multiple kettles of fish if they go after Taiwan? We might have our fucking hands full. Although we have so many forces in Korea that it would behoove us to just use them to draw off everything from China. Like, really, more land forces ain't going to help us in Taiwan. Taiwan is going to be a naval affair. Once they're on the island, it'll be like bomb them back to the Stone Age until they aren't on the fucking island and then fight in the water again. So the assets that are in Korea are not going to do them very much good anyway. But a full blown conflict in Korea that the Chinese have to back, that would hurt the Chinese significantly. So that's going to happen. Japan is rebuilding her fucking ability to wage war. She's building carriers, from what I understand. And part of this is like, I think the US and Japan have just gotten to the point where we aren't going to fight each other again. And we're worried about China and Russia, and we're untying people's fucking hands. It's a good thing. It's about time. It's like in reality, like, I don't know, the Japanese are kind of fucking evil in some ways, but like they were expanding their empire. We were expanding ours. We do it in slightly different ways. And they got tired of playing our fucking bullshit game, I think. That's why they attacked Pearl Harbor. We cut them off from shit that they needed to survive. So they went, okay, well, we need the United States fleet to not be an issue anymore because we're going to have to go take all of these places in Southeast Asia to get the resources that we need. Like, we kind of caused that situation in a way, much as we're causing this situation now. In reality, we should just be buddying up with fucking Putin, let him have Ukraine, and then all turn on the Chinese and just stop buying their shit and let them starve. Go back to before Nixon went to China. I still like in Star Trek, Spock this is like an old human saying. Only Nixon can go to China. Like, such a like dated thing. Like, it totally like dates that show. It's kind of cool. A lot of people don't remember that until Nixon opened up trade with China, China was a land of peasants that no one ever went to. You'd say, "Oh, what about missionaries?" Well, most missionaries got crucified because communists. If you could sneak in somewhere in the back Asian country. God damn. Now we're high. Fuck. Oh, the thing with the Chinese is that since we opened up trade to them, they went from being roughly where we were at in the 1700s to slowly becoming 1950s America. And a lot of what you're seeing now in China is the results of this Americanization that they went through when they industrialized. There's a bunch of them that were doing business with Americans, that were watching American TV, that were buying American products, that were, they wanted to be like America. And I think that's China's whole thing in a nutshell is they want to run the world the way America does. And America runs the world the way it does because we defeated the Nazis pretty much. And then when the Russians failed, we bailed them out. And everybody watched this. How do you be a king? You know? No, I can tell you. In order to be the king, you have to act like the king. When America had its enemy at its fucking knees and could have destroyed the entire Soviet Union and let them starve, we helped them because we're the king. And this is where, like, China sees this as, like, we do this for the fucking social credit benefits of it because they don't understand this at all. no one here wanted to see people in the Soviet Union starve. Their political ideology is flawed as fuck, and they try to force it on everyone. They're kind of evil, you know. And this shit is still there, especially in China. In China, hardcore. Russia is its own unique little chestnut. Let's talk about communism in China for a minute, because like communism in China with Xi wearing his gray mouse suit all the time now. Oh, it's alive and well. Xi is the new fucking Mao of China. He's made that very fucking clear. He is in charge. No one else is in charge. This is part of the problem in China. In Russia, I think Putin is a czar. I think that is the system that we have defaulted back to. They are the new Russian Empire. His men are, vassals, dukes, earls, whatever. These are these Russian oligarch billionaires. They don't have titles. They just have lots of fucking money and live in Russia. Welcome to the new empire. And yeah, that's exactly how the czars were, pretty much. Except Russia has this unique benefit now of they have these giant urbanized cities and shit and industrialized cities from the Soviets, right? And so they don't just have peasants; they have entire cities to be czars over, and that's got to be interesting. I think that's where like all the organized crime comes from, because like the only way to really be a czar in a city like that is like the Godfather. There's a lot of that going on, and Putin tries to basically maintain order in this fucked up situation by having, the wrath of God of the old Soviets that he can just bring in and squash people if they get too uppity or whatever. So the people that commit crimes are people that are cool with Putin and cool with Russia. And like they're making money. And Putin doesn't care about that. What he does care about is that those loyal dogs, when they see a fucking rat, they kill it. Russia is going to be very difficult to beat as a result. The young men of that country like Putin. Except for the ones that don't want to go to war, probably don't like him now. But there's a whole bunch of Russians that want to be great again, basically. Like, this is a thing. It's a thing with young men everywhere that are in a country that is being subservient to another country. That, like, their life sucks every day. And they think, like, if they were on top, it would be better. And they're pretty much right while you're on top. The issue for America right now is we aren't on top anymore. What was it, 10, 20 years ago? Things were such here that, fuck, man, money was just afloat everywhere. Before the fucking housing collapse bullshit, I only know money from like the gun market pretty much. So that's what I was selling in and whatever back then. But it between the panic buying and just people having more money in general back then compared to now, like if you if you bought a gun, it was always worth more than what you paid for it. That was kind of nice. At least if you bought smart. And between that and like a few other financial endeavors, it's easy to get along. I think this is what the people in Russia know. They know if they win this contest with the United States and have a bigger empire and more money as a nation and more GDP as a nation, like everything gets better for all of them. This is what, like, you know, the anti-war people, I get, but I don't understand at this point. With Russia and China and some of the other shit going on, war is kind of inevitable, and I've been thinking war with China was inevitable for the last 20 years. They're getting too big for their britches. And, like, honestly, I don't think we should have helped them as much as we did. I think we should have never sold them anything uh, technologically that required a semiconductor chip or whatever. Like, we should have limited that shit. You know, congratulations! Like, the most advanced thing that you can buy is a DVD player. They'd probably figure out how to make something out of that shit. The balloons could be from China. The UAPs. So the thing that like haunts me in the back of my head is there's lots of shit buried in China. I think wherever the tech that we are getting to play with advanced propulsion shit is coming from, I think that is like an archaeological thing. I think Bob Lazar is pretty much telling the truth. And like that archaeological thing really rings true. And there's a whole bunch of shit in the area that China controls that is like the place that I would go to look for hidden fucking ancient aircraft. Asia is a big place. Like the other places I would go are like some of the places we invaded, like Afghanistan and like the mountains and hills of Nepal and Tibet and India and all that shit. Like the Chinese are wanting that for I don't know reasons, and like that's some of the stuff that doesn't make sense to me. It's like why are we fighting over Afghanistan and Nepal and Tibet? What if there's shit hidden there from some of these ancient civilizations? And like it's not obviously hidden and like you have to go in and hunt for it for years with advanced technology to maybe even stand a chance of finding it. It's like Skinwalker Ranch. It would be like looking for Skinwalker Ranch, not knowing that that's where it was. So like somewhere in all of Afghanistan, there's probably 3 or 4 things like Skinwalker Ranch, which is like some piece of technology that was hidden by who knows when or where or how. Our government is playing with this shit. I think the Chinese and the Russians also are playing with this like alien tech. I don't know what else to call it. It's not alien though. It's like really advanced ancient human. Or maybe it is like just leftover technology from when the gods ruled the planet. It's possible. Maybe it is alien tech. It doesn't really matter. I think the point of this is all of this flying saucer bullshit really came to prominence in World War II. There was a few things here and there before then, but for the most part, the modern shit of it came from World War II, and the Nazis were experimenting with every way to propel a craft known to man, including like strange, crazy shit from fucking the Far East and like propelling craft with your mind and all sorts of whatever. They went to Nepal and Tibet. They went to Egypt. They went to all sorts of other places where like if you were going to go look for some of this old technology, they went to the places where you might find it, and they went and looked in the 30s and 40s before, you know, who knows? Like, I bet there was still shit to find then. There's probably not anymore. I think, like, I think some of the stuff like Skinwalker Ranch is what they were looking for in Afghanistan, where it's like there is a thing here that is cloaked and we can't really figure out even how to open it. Because, like, I think some of these things were like buried in the ground, and I think some of these things were parked. much as the thing at Skinwalker Ranch is, where there's like some object just sitting, what, like 100 feet up over this spot on the ranch, or it's buried in a mesa or some shit. I'm not really sure. There's something there though. And the strange thing is, what if there's both there? And like this is, interpreting the whole UAP thing and this balloon shooting down thing through the lens of, yes, there was ancient human civilizations on this planet that had a level of technology that is heretofore undreamed. I say that because of some of the stonework in Egypt and some of the stuff in South America. I don't think we could do it now. Sorry. I was watching a thing on Pumapunku and Tiwanaku, which are in Bolivia. I think that those were made so long ago that, like, they're up on a plateau in the mountains. I think that used to be down closer to sea level. Like, it used to be a more formidable habitat or whatever when that shit was built. And like some of the artwork there depicts saber-toothed cats and like these weird elephant things that lived in South America. And those were all, the last of them died 11,600 years ago. I literally think those are the remains of Graham Hancock's ancient lost civilization, or at least one of them. There's pyramids there too that are buried. And like I think it's very much as he describes it, where it's like, when you look at pyramids, you should look at skyscrapers the same way. Like they weren't all built by the same person, but they were all built using the same technology at or around the same time. Like you don't make shit that looks just like it. Like I don't. It's weird to me that the fucking Mexicans, Egyptians, and like Sumerians and people in fucking China and people in Cambodia and people in fucking South America, and there's some island that there's a big pyramid on too. It's in Indonesia that I'm sure was like a mountaintop when they built that shit. Like I think a lot of the Pacific used to be above water. It wouldn't surprise me anyway. The like shit that we don't know about the past of this planet could fill more volumes than you could imagine, I think. My other question is with these like UAPs that we're shooting down is, what if those are the old gods returning and we're shooting down their shit? And now they're going to be the angry old gods coming in. I hope that's true. I want to shoot aliens. Jack O'Neill proved that 9 millimeter kills Jaffa readily. I'm a big Stargate fan. Whenever InRange TV does their fucking Stargate Command bullshit with Russell Fagan, I love that. That's my jam. Also, like the space, the not space, the aliens shit. I'm a fan of the aliens universe too. I think a lot of us are just fans of this, like, you know, space marines of various ilk. It doesn't really matter what it's called. If it has good space marines in it, aliens, starship troopers, fucking. Trying to think of something else that has good space marines. Well, there aren't that many. I think that's one of the things about it is like there's a lot of science fiction that gets made where like we're in a fucking perfect future and now the monster shows up and they had no plan whatsoever except for this little phaser pistol or whatever, and like I like the Aliens Starship Trooper shit. We're like, we know we're gonna go find some bugs. As such, we equip ourselves appropriately. I don't know, they're fun. Trying to think of what it was. There was another one that I was just talking about. The in-range TV, Stargate. Yeah, that's sort of Starship Troopers too. I think that's why so many of us like Stargate is that it is this like modern day military people with real guns fighting aliens, and like they made it somewhat entertaining. Some of it's very entertaining, to be honest. Like they have, if you've never seen Stargate, Richard Dean Anderson plays Jack O'Neill. Richard Dean Anderson is MacGyver, and I really liked the Stargate movie, and I really like Kurt Russell. But man, MacGyver fucking works as Jack O'Neill too. The whole series is pretty damn good, and it introduces you to Amanda Tapping, who is playing Sam Carter, who is just like one of the all-time hotties of all time. Dirty lesbian. Sorry, my mind's wandering. Mm. Only she was trans. Like that's the only issue with Amanda Tapping. Like I like dick, so sue me. The Balloon Wars. That's a good Space Marine thing too. The Clone Wars, Clone Troopers. That's like one of the ultimate like Space Marines in my opinion because like George Lucas presented us with like his version of Space Marines, and they're all cloned from a Mandalorian soldier, and like it's a crazy thing. And like they're them all being clones and having short lifespans and like only bred to fight the war is like super dark. Everything about the Clone Wars is pretty fucking dark. The gun the Clone Wars have. The ultimate Space Marines are the Mandalorians. They've transgressed Space Marine though. Like I would consider the Clone Troopers to still be in the realm of Space Marines. The Mandalorians are a little bit too badass and overpowered to be fucking grunts. You know, they're supposed to be super commandos, so they're like super Space Marines. Oh, looks like we're all going to be Space Marines here pretty soon after we get done nuking each other over Putin. Oh, I can't believe that the world has escalated as quickly as it has. Like you're like, oh, in my lifetime, it's no, it's not in my lifetime. It's like in the last 5 to 10 years. I'd say that like 2 terms of Obama fucked up the Republicans to the point that we got Trump. Trump in 1 term did to the Democrats what the Republicans had 2 terms of Obama to do. That's how we got Sleepy Joe at the wheel. Like it didn't take that big of a push. Like Trump barely won to begin with. So from here, I don't know where shit happens, man. Like it seems that we're going to war. It seems that you should plan to fucking get bombed and have rationing be a thing and not be able to get car tires. Like Go get new tires on your car. Explain that one, but basically the places where we get the stuff to make tires from, it's gonna be difficult. There's not that many places, and they all have to go over the ocean. There's some of it that's like South American colonies of this shit, but like half of it's done in like Southeast Asia. That shit's gonna be a hot zone. It's gonna affect the price of tires if nothing else. My guess is that we see a lot more than just prices affected, though, man. If we go to war with the Chinese and the Russians, I think we're going to see attacks here on our homeland. I don't know. The Chinese want Taiwan. Thanks to our, lovely little situation we've made for ourselves, we will never just abandon Taiwan because we fucking have all of our shit made there. Like, they decided to specialize in making basically all of the hard to make computer chips. So they're valuable. It would take us a while to get back up to speed here, which we're in the process of doing, which means that Taiwan might get let loose on its own eventually. Like, I think the plan is they're just evacuating everyone that they can to fucking Arizona. If nothing else, they need to make chips somewhere in safety to fight China. And with Arizona's large solar potential, it's a good choice. With the war, you're going to want a constant supply of microchips, and you're going to want power that's uninterrupted to make those. And you don't have to worry about fuel and all the rest of that shit. And like, Arizona's already pretty tech friendly. It's well defended. It's right next to California. And like that's part of the other thing too, is it's somewhere that like it would be difficult for them to even attempt invading or bombing it or something like that. I watched too much Glenn Beck, and like it really seems like there's a war being orchestrated to usher in an era of like ESG scores and fucking communism. That's half why I'm like so down about everything. Is I watch too much Glenn Beck. That's really all I had to say about balloons. It ended quite a while ago, though. So we could try to wrap this up into an hour. What should we talk about? Prices seem to be stabilizing here. This shit's not going up anymore, and it didn't go up that much. It went up just enough to hurt everyone to the point that they stopped spending money. And I think that was the intention of it. It's one of those things I think unless they did something like that, people were just going to keep spending. And I think some people still are. There's a whole bunch of people racking up credit card debt right now. Like, man, if I had a credit card right now, I think I would go out and buy gold and never pay off the credit card. If you have a $5,000 limit, 2.5 ounces of gold, something like that. I'd just go take that and I'd cut up the card. But like, half of my thing is I've pretty much decided that I don't need a credit score. That's I wish I could have one. And like I do have one. It's just basically non-existent. I don't really borrow money, and I don't know. I really, really would like to buy 10 acres of land or less, 5 to 10, something like that, with no buildings or anything on it, just completely undeveloped land. And then the shit that I do build, I'm gonna build one pretty decent size cabin that's, you know, I don't know, a decent sized living room, a decent sized bedroom, and a full like bathroom and shower and all that kind of shit, probably, maybe more. And it would be small, like as small as I thought I could get away with. And that's what I'd pay taxes on. Everything else would be like, the hidden bunker. Like this is how nobody would consider a fucking like underground sandbag bunker to be a legitimate thing or whatever. I'll have a fucking earthship somewhere. And like the goal of that thing is to have it hidden from the world. So I doubt the fucking like assessor's ever gonna see it. And you could build on more of those. You have barns and shit, but those don't cost shit for taxes. And like this is the goal here is to have your shit rigged for as little expenses as possible. I think once I got to the point that I had my own land like that and was doing this, I would cut the cell phone bill and just have the Starlink bill. So that way, like your only real expenses are whatever insurance you have, the taxes on your car and house, which aren't going to be much, and Starlink. And then, like food wise, my goal is to have food that is produced on my land somewhat, but food bills are still going to be a thing somewhat. I'd like to have it to where like I have a pretty good greenhouse with a bunch of stuff growing that I eat, and I have some animals that I fucking do whatever with. But that's not my main gig. That's like, hey, having those takes off half of the grocery bills. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe more. Like it all depends on how poor you are, right? Seems like if I were a betting person, I'd bet on us getting a lot poorer before we get fucking richer. Anyway, sorry for this like pit of despair video. Tried recording a thing earlier about my Flux Raider that I want to do. I don't know. I keep going back and forth on that. It would be bitching to add a fucking brace onto this thing after killing the one that it came with. I really want the thing to look like a movie prop, and it will with a fucking AR-15 tube on the back of it. It already kind of looks movie prop-ish, so sticking the fucking AR tube with a brace on it on the back would make it just even more. It's not that much to do it. It's like a $25 pig nose adapter, a mil spec M4 tube, whatever you want to spend on one of those, and then a Magpul brace, which actually I had a hard time finding. I found them at Palmetto State finally, but I think a lot of places are not selling them because they're going to be illegal. Fuck the government. So let's wrap up the balloon wars thing. That'll be good. For the, you know, where does this end, basically? I don't believe most of the things that we're shooting down are Chinese. I think they're either aliens, basically, or we are shooting at nothing and saying that we're shooting shit down for some sort of a political reason because the president wants to appear tough. I think that's the Occam's razor simplest explanation. They've been releasing all this UAP stuff for forever, and they're like trying to scare people for some reason. Seems either that or there are real aliens. I don't know what to believe anymore. And like that could be a giant psyop on the American public. We're gonna have fake alien spaceships show up and demand that you must reduce the global population to 500,000 people. All others must be burned into the computer. You will live a full holographic life. And that's the reason why we own guns. You know, I don't know that that's where this ends, but that's definitely what we seem primed for. Isn't that concerning? Not to mention that, like, if I were the Chinese looking at us, how would I attack us? The craft that I had attack us would look like flying saucers. And I would try to get some sort of advanced new weapon on it and really sell that you're fighting space aliens. There's a whole bunch of Americans that lose their fucking mind and run away. Look at any of our pop culture. Like, apparently, Americans are scared shitless of space aliens. Hope our enemies don't know that. Although there is definitely a portion of the US government that just wishes that they could get xenomorphs. That's like the truest part of that whole story to me is that, like, what does the machine do when it sees something that's so deadly that it keeps killing everything that they send to go get it? Oh, they just want it worse. They want to get a sample of it in a lab and study it just so they can fucking replicate what makes it great. We're a despicable species, aren't we? Seems like the world that like we're in now, the fight that we have is China versus the US in reality. I think Russia is actually a proxy of China and their thing in Ukraine. I'm maybe this is stretching it out on a limb a bit, but I think like Xi knew about the invasion of Ukraine, condoned it, and wanted Russia to be the first one to fucking, take the hit, see how things went. Because in reality, like Russia taking a big hit while they can still trade with China isn't that big a deal. China losing its trading status with the world would kill China. This is where the Russians are probably being paid to fuck with them. It's in their interest anyway. Like Putin really believes a lot of this like Russian Empire shit and he wants it back. I believe him when he says he wants Alaska back. You know, I think he can have Alaska back out of cold dead fucking hands. Like honestly, if they do take Alaska back, I think I would be among the people here in Oklahoma trying to like organize people to go up there and start bombing places. They don't get Alaska. And I wouldn't be alone in that. There's a lot of Americans that are very attached to Alaska. It's the last frontier. It's it's an amazing thing that I can't believe that we have. It's our own slice of Canada or Russia that we bought in the 1800s for fucking $7 million. It's on my list of places to live. That just disturbs me. Well, we've just been rambling for a while now. I'll see you guys later.